This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas, and this video is going to show how to make garter stitch. Garter stitch is a stitch where you switch the knitting over every single row so that it is a knit side row showing and then a purl side row showing and then a knit side row showing, and it's a wonderful reversible stitch. It's extremely useful in knitting and it's used by hand knitters quite often. Now the first step is going to be to get the carriage to the other side, because using my routine for garter stitch I am always knitting from the left to the right. So I'm on the right now. I have pushed in the left part button, which allows me to come across the carriage with the carriage and to not disturb the knitting at all. And then I unthread the carriage. The next thing that I do to flip over the knitting is I bring the stitches and the needles, everything, by pushing the needle butts all the way out to hold. Then I place the stopper on the needles. Then I push the knitting back against the stoppers and I transfer the knitting to the garter bar, and it's essential that the grooves on the garter bar be facing up. The garter bar has a side with bumps and it has a side with grooves. The grooves must be up, and you put the garter bar eyelets in the hooks of the knitting, and then you just pull the knitting right onto the garter bar. Then you push toward the machine a little bit to open the latches. I'm having trouble getting this in. There we go. And lift out. And now I'm going to switch the camera to below the machine. So the camera is going to be looking up this way so that you can see how it is that the garter bar is going to be able to put the stitches on the hooks from up here. You see, you can't see it with the garter bar in the way. I have positioned the camera underneath the knitting machine. So here's my hand up on top of these needles. So you're looking at it from underneath as if you were sitting on the floor down under my knees. And I have the garter bar right here. Now, one side of the garter bar looks like this, and it has the stitches that you were looking at before you flipped it. But then when you flip it, the side that's going to go on the needles is garter bar showing, and then just these little stitches right here showing on each prong. Now I lay that on top of these needle hooks, and you can see that the individual needle hooks are sliding inside the grooves of the garter bar underneath the yarn and catching the actual stitch, and then I rotate it around and I bring it down. So that's how it is that the garter bar is able to flip all of the stitches over. Okay, once the knitting is flipped, I want to show the rest of the routine for making garter stitch, and I want to show it from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and knit back from left to right. I knit, and from right to left I slip. So I'm knitting back, and then I'm going to prepare to flip again. So I have the part button in, so step one is to go from right to left without disturbing the knitting and unthread it. And then step two is to position the stopper so the needles come out and the stopper goes on. And then step three is to put the knitting on the garter bar. Always grooves up. Lay that on the garter bar and then pull the knitting onto it. Lay the garter bar on the needle hooks and then pull the knitting onto it. Got one stitch that's kind of caught here. There we go. We fix that. Then you push in a little to open the latches, and you turn the knitting and line it up so that you're on the correct needles, and you lay it so that those grooves, this is all about getting the hooks of the needle into the groove and catch the stitches and bring it down. Now, A big no-no, you do not want these eyelets to be on the hooks. You want it to catch the stitches. So that flipped it. And then the last step is to knit back. So that's the routine for doing garter stitch using the garter bar. And you can get quite fast with a little bit of practice. So that's how you make a garter stitch on the machine reasonably quickly using a garter bar.